Welcome back to the Grand Solar Minimum channel. Today is Tuesday, September 3rd, 2019. I wanted to do an update tonight, really fast, on quick solar wind. And first, I'd like to speak to those who were joining us during the worst of Hurricane Dorian. We appreciate your support, your kind words. And just know, guys, the reason for the live stream, we felt like nobody at all was covering this storm the way it should have been covered. Nobody on YouTube, nobody out there in the mainstream media, nobody put the information out there like the Grand Solar Minimum channel did. We gave you radars, we gave you a live feed from a radio station in the Bahamas that was helping networking messages to help rescue people. And honestly, it took a lot out of all of us, I think. I know it was hard for Mari and I to continue to listen to the constant stories of the people who are trapped in their attics waiting for help since 5 in the morning. And then to watch this storm sit over the same area for almost 24 hours. Again, I appreciate the people who were kind and supported this channel and watched this channel and got the news correctly from this channel. There was a lot of disinfo out there. A lot of people out there trying to say this hurricane had 60-mile-an-hour winds that on Windy and Ventusky. Folks, those websites are not built for monitoring hurricanes. Those are just general idea forecasts, okay? There's nothing elaborate. There's nothing complex about this. There's a lot of people out there that want to make a big deal, a big conspiracy about it. But, you know, I guess what do you expect? You're on YouTube, right? I mean, that's kind of where all that crap lives, is on YouTube. The conspiracy. There's nothing wrong with asking questions. I get that. But to question what just happened over the Bahamas, and we listened to the radio broadcast the night that this storm made landfall as a Cat 5 with 200-mile-an-hour gust or higher. Some reported saying that there was 220-mile-an-hour gusts with sustained winds of 195. That was never officially reported, but that's the rumor. So I feel a little bit more connected with the world after witnessing this event on radio and watching it on radar. And when you see a storm that big, I don't care where it's at. It's always going to matter to me. This storm was historic in many ways, and the devastation it's caused is heartbreaking. And before the global warmers come out and say, well, there you go, well, the warming climate did it. No. This hurricane formed under rare circumstances, and it was fueled by the sun during the two most intense days. The days that we saw a Category 5 hurricane strike the islands was also during a time when we were experiencing two solar storms at a G2 level, and then a third one that was very brief at a G1. On top of that, the average solar wind speeds were somewhere around 680 and 720 kilometers per second. This was all happening August 30th, September 1st, September 2nd. And even today, the winds are still above average, if you want to say that. It's just now below the 600 kilometer per second range. So the talk, the theories, man's doing this, it's controlled, you know, that's fine. I don't mind the questions and all that. But the conspiracy theory stuff, it's never going to be an issue here. It's never even going to be a conversation, because this channel is not about conspiracy theories. This channel is about getting the facts and getting the facts correct. Just like that 70,000 foot explosion that never happened. But yet there's still people out there that believe it did happen and that the government's, protecting, the public from the truth or something. I can guarantee you this. Nobody in the FAA will ever risk the safety of their pilots because of a volcano explosion of a 70,000 foot plume. We had a 63,000 foot plume in Iran. So this is not that much bigger to where it's got to be hidden from the public. But yet there's people out there that create that idea. I'm a little upset because people have lost track of the science. the people that supposed to be presenting us with information about what's going to happen, we don't need any help with exaggerating what's happening, because everything that's happening now is bad enough. I don't get the point of it. And all it does is create confusions. So when you guys are watching any channel, including ours, vet the information. We leave the links on our website or in the description of the video. Search them yourself. Put them in the Google search if you don't trust the link. Whatever you have to do. But please, take the time to vet the information. Way too much confusion out there because of silly people out there who need a few extra views. I don't get it. I just don't get it. It's dangerous. And the confusion, I mean, it could cost someone something, harmful. Maybe an injury or a death over fake news. And it's supposed to be a truther community. I mean, to me, this platform is nothing at all about truth. Sunday afternoon, Mari broadcasted this brilliant 24-hour coverage of the hurricane. We had lots of viewers. Maybe we did something different that we thought might help us with the views. Just set it up different, and it was successful. But old Big Brother and the people that run the platform caught up and once again suppressed us. After we found a way to get our names back out there and get recognized and have people knowing that they could come to this channel without any animosity, without any political battle or any religious battle or anything like that. Just come to this channel and get the truth and listen to what's happening in real time. No, this platform was not interested in you guys getting that information. So we're changing a lot of things that we're going to do at this channel. We're changing a lot. I have witnessed Mari, my life partner, my love, my life, bust her ass for the last 8 to 9 months trying to figure out how to make this channel worthwhile for not just us, but for you guys that want the truth, that want the information. But sometimes we get limited because of the things we talk about. And I think it's about time we just say no holds barred. We don't care anymore. We're coming at you with the truth. Point blank. So with all the high production that Mari does with this channel, it's not that you're going to see less of the high production, but you're not going to see the amount of editing for, say, for instance, the world news on our live shows. That's over. Read a couple headlines, boom, boom, we're moving on. The climate articles, those are most important to me right now because we're fighting this battle of CO2 warming crowd. We are monitoring the crops, which have everything to do with the climate. So that section to me is very important as well. I think the world news, it's worth just mentioning the headlines. Give it a little bit of the stats, move to the next one. Like around the world in 60 seconds, something like that. Because the more time I watch Mari put into this, the brilliant the production becomes. But the recognition is getting none because of the platform that does not agree, unfortunately, with the science that we're presenting. So where's the freedom of speech? We are prevented from being video creators because it doesn't go with the majority of people's agendas. So we're going to make this easy for everybody. We're going to do probably a little bit more videos. We're probably going to break it down to where we come out live and talk to you guys, give you the update right on the fly, and release it. Mari's going to save the big productions for the good interviews that we have coming up. Her learning series are brilliant. So that's where you're going to see the quality production in it, is when you're watching a learning series or watching an interview. Something of that kind of complex explanation is always going to deserve Mari's wonderful editing. But as far as the shows, hey, this is the way to do it. Do it live. Do it raw. Print, cut, release. Get it. And at least we leave the links for everyone to verify it. And, maybe you don't even like listening to me and Mari, but we got good information. At least we provide the information for you to look for yourself. That's fine too. But our goal here at this channel is to relay the message to everyone around the world. And we want to expose the truth about the climate. And that's it. And we need your help. We need your help. We need you guys sharing this everywhere, because other people, other platforms are not going to suggest it because there's too much truth involved. There's too much believability in this program. And they're not ready for us to know about the truth yet. So I'm asking all my subscribers, everyone who follows this channel, everyone that sees this video, the biggest help we can get from you guys is just to share our content. I'm not saying be ridiculous about it and throw the same video in the same group 4 times a day. But if everybody pitched in and just shared our content, shared it to everyone, get this message out. We need to start taking a little bit more aggressive action on getting the truth out and stop letting MSM defeating us, pushing us back when we throw the first push. We can't quit. If we do that, we're conforming. All the efforts that everyone is doing right now to help provide the truth will be for naught. So that's enough of my opening rant. I just wanted to get that off my chest because I believe the best help that we could get, it's not going to be from the platforms. It's going to be from you, the subscribers. If you guys believe in this channel, if you believe in the information that you're receiving, share it. People have to start, maybe they won't listen to it the first time or the second time or even the third time you share it. But the 4th time or 5th time, there might be a title that catches someone's attention, and then they listen, and then they figure out the truth, and they like the information, and they can verify it, and they realize there's something to this information. Let's look into it more. I believe that the verification of the grand solar minimum beginning in 2020 from Valentina Zarkova, to me, was the nail in the coffin. I already knew it was happening. I needed confirmation. A NASA scientist pretty much put it out there. You had to read between the lines, but it was there. Weakest solar cycle in the last 200 years. Hello? Okay? If you follow this topic, you know what that means. If you're new to this topic, grand solar minimums happen every 200 years or so. About 206 to be exact. So, again, we really appreciate the support we got. The people that were there in the chat, the people that watched, the people that prayed together with us. We appreciate your support, and we do want to do more events like this. But really, when it comes to historic storms like that, it was a no-brainer. It didn't matter where it was happening. This had to be covered because mainstream had nothing on it. And I got some more bad news as far as a possibility of something else like that happening in the near future. Let's get our space weather and the Dorian update, and we'll get going here. Solar wind speeds at 584, density of 2. Still have that AR 2748. I don't think that thing's going to be around in my next live show. I could be wrong. But it is decaying as we speak. It poses no threats for anything as far... What's that?
I have the STO up on Helio.
Oh, on this?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
If you want that, it's right behind.
That's all right. That looks good.
Yep.
Now, just looking at this, there might have been a little bit of a possible CME there from that sunspot. We'll have to wait and see. It looks very little and very minor, but right there at the very end, as this thing is becoming Earth-facing, we get a little pop here. And it looks like some kind of a magnetic release. Other than that, we got this coronal hole that's in the southern hemisphere of the sun that's supposed to affect us around the 6th through the 7th of September. Just interesting to correlate this sudden burst of activity from a sun that was blank for 25 straight days, and now all of a sudden we have a minor sunspot, several solar storms that we received in the last 3 days. So interesting stuff happening during minimum period, but we will continue to monitor that as well. Here we go. It's even there too. That looks even better. Again, that coronal hole is going to affect the southern part of our magnetic field. So maybe some slight uptick in seismic weather. You know what I found really surprising? And maybe I'm onto something. And guys, I don't claim to be an expert on this stuff. I report on this stuff. And the one thing that I did kind of notice with these storms, these G2 storms, usually we see a decent earthquake pop off, especially that long of a period of time being bombarded. And it feels like that the energy from the solar storm was used, like the planet used it in a different way. As if this earthquake was the sponge for the energy that could have been possibly used to help seismic activity increase. I could be wrong. It's just, I'm throwing it out there. Interesting to hear your guys' comments, as always. We love your comments, don't we, Mari? All right, here's our planetary alignment. And you hear about that all the time when you got the two gas giants on each side of Earth. Earth is pretty much dead center there almost. The tug from the orbital path of Earth around the sun, that's real. And we have had some really weird weather, earthquakes, volcanoes. Believe you me, that is connected. There's our KP indices. Finally coming out a little bit. It acts like it wants to stay active, but for the time being, we are at a KP of 2, 24-hour max of 3. And we just showed you the SDO, but let me stretch this out for you guys so we can get a better view here. All right, great. So, yeah. I got it. Looking at the sun, we got the sunspot Earth facing right now, and then the active region that we thought from the negative 180 is actually gotten a little bit weaker. So it's possible once this sunspot fizzles out, we could be blank for several days, if not several weeks, once again. All right, space weather part is over. Let's go now to an update on Hurricane Dorian. As you guys see at the bottom of the screen is the official stats on Dorian. The ticker has all of it with winds at 110 right now. And I believe it is moving 6 miles an hour northwest at this time. Pressure on this thing, I believe, I don't have the stat right in front of me. Actually, I can look it right up. I believe the pressure is 959 millibars, and that continues to rise as well. This thing is still a Cat 2 hurricane. I'm not sure what we're dealing with chances of it increasing. These are the temperatures of our waters right now, and as you can see, that spot here between Florida and the Bahamas, that area cooled down, and I kind of expected that because of how long this storm stayed stationary. There was a lot of upwelling, and the warmth of that water is only so deep, so you can only imagine this storm churned up some cooler waters and brought the temps down a little bit here along the Florida coast. And guys, I'll tell you right now, the Gulf Coast has really cooled down. The red used to fill the entire Gulf, and right now it is not as warm in the entire Gulf as it has been. We've got several storms. This one right here, this one probably is definitely not going to make any beans about a landfall. This one is a little concerning, and I will get to that here very, very shortly. Here's all your hurricane watches and tropical storm warnings all along the coast, guys. The fear right now, and here is actually, let's go ahead and reset that, make sure we got the most recent picture of our satellite here. So for a minute, it looked like that eye was just going to come right apart, and now that eye wall has reformed, but honestly, there's less red, there's less oranges, a lot more green. There's a good chance we could see this storm kind of even weaken. Now, parts of Florida and southern Georgia, you are experiencing rain bands and higher wind speeds. But again, this storm, if I'm not mistaken, is moving in the path that I believe it'll continue, which is more north than northwest. So this storm could be on its last leg, but it's still dangerous. It's a Category 2, and where it's making its landfall, well, let's do this real quick, and then we'll talk about where the next landfall will be. Cat 5 hurricane. I wanted to get some of the stats here of the amount of rain, guys. This is not been talked about over, let's see, rain estimates coming over 30 minutes, blah, blah, blah. Let's see here. So let's go off of this chart because it's not giving off detailed areas. The storm was stationary for about 18 hours, almost 24 hours, very close, and the way it moved in. But this map here represents the amount of rain that this place had received. Abaco is the worst probably hit. But you see that purple, folks. That's over 24 inches of rain where that purple is. And the eastern part, the backside, this storm just stayed here for hours, beating up the coast, transforming it at least. So lots of impressive data. We're probably going to get a lot more aftermath stories here soon. The footage I've already seen from Mari is absolutely insane. Everything looks like it's just little tiny matchsticks now. The pollution, the trash everywhere. Now they got to worry about mosquitoes. Now you got unsanitary areas. It's mosquitoes carrying diseases around. This is a nightmare, folks. Absolute nightmare. And we are still going to follow this, not as close as we have in the past couple of days, but once we get closer to South Carolina, I believe, Mari and I think we're going to do another live stream and just kind of monitor this storm and make sure that everything happens accordingly and people are aware of what's happening at the time. So Dorian, not done, but this is some of the aftermath that's left, and I'm sure we'll get more reports on rainfall totals here in the near future. All right, now let's go ahead and check out the GFS. And I'm just going to say right now, this is a forecast model that's projecting something that's out almost 2 weeks. So whatever I show you tonight, we need to understand one thing, that this is still a long way out. Because I showed this hurricane a couple of nights ago in an update, and I told everyone this one's pretty safe. It's probably going to peel out to sea. We're not going to have to worry about this. But oh, how things change. Let's take a look at this current storm Dorian right now. Guys, we got 3 different low pressure systems all lining, almost 4 really, lining up here. This is Wednesday. It's going to be passing Jacksonville. Yes, you're going to see tropical force winds, nothing hurricane-like, and some heavy rain. So flooding and windy conditions are definitely a possibility for southern Georgia and Jacksonville by Thursday. All right. This storm is going to follow the coast. The eye wall is not expected to make landfall again until possibly somewhere on Friday, September 6th. Now look at the amount of rain in South Carolina. That's what it's going to be for 24 hours. This thing looks like it really makes a positive landfall in North Carolina on September 6th. That's a Friday as well. So this storm is going to be moving a little bit quicker than what it has been. That's the good news. The heavy rain moving in fast and out fast, that's good. That means we're talking maybe 4 to 8 inches of rain. Way better numbers than 15 to 24. So this storm is boogieing it on out by Friday, September 6th. Already out to sea by Saturday, September 7th. So the good news is that the Northeast dodges a bullet here, and it does not look that we are going to see any kind of coastal rain or anything like that from the storm. But it does kiss Maine and head up into Canada, and that's all she wrote. Now, Monday, September 9th, we've got a lot going on, folks. Massive low pressure system building up in the northern plains, moving through Canada as well. And more storms coming out of the southwest. Look at this, September 11th, Wednesday. Very wet pattern, very large storm moving across the northern plains once again. That's a lot of rain, folks. Especially for North Dakota. They've seen their share already this year. As that low pressure system begins to move out, look at it, strengthens, finds its strength up here in Canada, and the tail goes all the way connecting to the monsoon rains that we get down in Mexico during monsoon season. So this low pressure is going to drag all this moisture across the United States. Look at that. But here's where the forecast gets worse. If you guys pay attention in the Atlantic, we are going to see that hurricane that I told you the other night that was going to spin off into the middle of the Atlantic. GFS, the 18Z, which is always the safest bet, is now thinking a little different. This thing is making the approach on the same areas that we've already seen from Dorian. This is September 17th. So far, so good, right? I mean, it looks like the Bahamas might miss this storm, but this is another monster. And then by September 17th, the storm will hook up with the low pressure system that's already moving across the United States. And it is showing a landfall in northern South Carolina and in North Carolina. Look at this amount of rain, guys. Moving through Virginia, West Virginia, Pittsburgh. Look at this. September 19th. So let's hope this model is wrong. Not only would we see a hurricane like no other in the Bahamas, this one doesn't look as strong. This one looks like a Cat 2, a Cat 3 all the way. And the reason why I'm saying that is because of the water temps. Now, this thing is going to pack a lot of moisture because it's hooking up with another low pressure system that's bringing moisture as well across the Midwest, the Northern Plains, the Great Lakes, and into the Northeast. And then by the end of that week, we're looking at this massive low pressure system. And I'll be honest with you, living up here in upstate New York, that kind of rainfall for 24 hours, this area is already starting to flood. And a rainfall event like this is really going to test the infrastructure up here. And notice up in Canada, that blue stuff around that high pressure, that's called a cold front. And it's trying to make its way to the United States on September 19th. So, at this point, this is only speculation. But there is one other person on YouTube that told us that we were going to see a hurricane in the middle of September that could strike New York City. And this guy said this back in the beginning of August. I'm talking about Thor News. Once again, with whatever calculations he uses over there, this model is a bullseye for what he's been saying since early August. Now, again, this forecast can change, guys. It's the third, this storm production, we're talking 16 days out. Let's take a look at the 12Z. This one is going a little bit closer to the New England area. Look, so this storm track has it making just one landfall, and that's New York. Oh boy. That looks like a mess. That's the 12Z. So there's two models, and the two models that agree are usually the ones that are like with kid gloves on. It always happens where one of the models always don't show it. And this might be the model. Yep. There is a disturbance that shows up, but the 06 does not have this crazy hurricane anywhere. So that's 1 out of 3 models that says, nah, baby, nah. Let's look at the worst case scenario. Interesting enough, this model always shows these scary things. So, boy, there's a lot of cold air though behind these fronts though, looking at this model. Again, this means nothing. We're still 16 days away from this result. But it sure is a little frightening to see the 18 and the 12 pretty much agreeing with each other. So let's get through Dorian first, but I did want to raise the awareness of the possibility of another storm that could form. And like I said, the previous tracks show it moving through the Atlantic and going through the middle and heading towards the UK. This track has it going way more west than what it did 2 nights ago. And all we can do is just be aware that things could get hairy here in the New England area. Connecticut, Massachusetts, Vermont, New Hampshire, the capital region of New York. These are areas we don't talk about when it comes to tropical weather, and especially storms. A lot of rain on its way for sure if this forecast holds any truth. But the good news is that this storm is a quick mover as well. And you could tell by the oblong shape of this storm, the same kind of situation we're dealing with Dorian is because it gets that tug from the Gulf Stream and it's being pulled north. But this thing's going to be a rainmaker. And that's what I think is going to happen with Dorian, honestly. We're going to see a bigger rainmaker than a major hurricane landfall. I'm not trying to be wishy-washy, but when we look at these models here, and the latest model has this storm just barely touching the coast, maybe making a landfall here in middle of South Carolina, some tight winds, Category 1 storm, not as much rain really in this latest GFS. All the heavy rain is going to be out to sea. So Dorian is weakening, and GFS likes to believe that trend is going to continue. And then our next storm that's going to escape right past the Bahamas, make landfall pretty much where we're expecting landfall from Dorian. And this one becomes a huge rain event because we have two systems that connect with this hurricane, or the one system, I'm sorry. But like I said, let's get through Dorian. We'll keep our eyes on this future storm. These models, again, are 16 days out. So that's plenty of time. And right now, we just don't know exactly where that storm is going. Again, we thought it was going to curve off into the Atlantic. Now it's going to make landfall. All right, guys. So that's going to do it for us tonight. This is the latest look at Dorian. And I got to be honest with you, folks. This storm is struggling right now. I'd be surprised at the 10 o'clock update if the winds haven't died down to 100 miles per hour and the pressure goes up even more to 965 or even closer to 970. This is the weakest we've seen this storm since it started. And the eye is getting a little disorganized. And that could be from cooler waters here, guys. Like I said, this storm was massive just 24 hours ago, 36 hours ago. It was massive Cat 5. All that upwelling of that warm water is probably, and look, it already shows here in the maps. There was a ton of red in some of these areas that are now, like this right here. This is cooled off big time. Now it's interesting to see how warm the waters are as we get up here, but that's if the eye is over here, guys. Right now that storm is tracking right along this area, so it's just missing that really warm water. But if you notice the darker shades of red near the coast of South Carolina and North Carolina, it could intensify briefly to, a stronger Cat 1 before it makes landfall. That's possible. But look at the Gulf. The heat was all the way around. Now we are losing half that heat in the Gulf. Gotta wonder if we're going to catch any storms coming up this way. It's only the beginning of September. We're already monitoring another storm that could make landfall, but it could be just a Cat 1, but it's going to be bringing some rain. Definitely looks like it's bringing the rain. So we'll have to keep monitoring it, guys. Again, that model is 16 days out, but still concerning when you see where it makes landfall. And then other models show it just making a straight landfall at New York City, which I already said was an individual that called that already. Mara, do you want to say hi or anything and check in with the folks and before we sign off for the night?
I like your speech in the beginning.
I think people deserve to come to a channel where they can get information and truth without bickering about stupid conspiracy theories. Or, if you have a cultural difference, can we at least make an exception if there's a natural disaster happening and people are scared? Let's not get so offensive about everything. That's all I'm saying.
Well, and I think it's probably my fault that you did the little speech in the beginning because I was telling you how frustrated I was, and I rub off on you horribly, don't I?
No, but I noticed it. I wasn't even here. I was at work today, and I watched the chat off and on. I watched some of the behavior, and I feel like your work you do a lot, and it goes well too unnoticed. So credit is definitely needs to be thrown at you.
Well, I learned the past few weeks, the harder you work, the less you get.
True.
When
True.
it comes with dishing out truth.
Right.
But just to give you an example of what frustrates me so much, and I want you guys to really be careful when taking in information. You watch everything that is happening in the mainstream media. Everyone is so confused and everyone is questioning everything. And the result of that, you always do that, silly. The result of that is what happens is everyone's so confused and questioning everything. It results into these populations of conspiracy theorists. And then these conspiracy theorists start these wild claims, and then that causes more confusion and stirs up more, problems in people trying to find the truth and the facts and the data. So you have MSN hyping up the hurricane. You have conspiracy theorists going crazy online. I have seen some crazy stuff. People saying that this is fake. People that don't know weather and haven't followed weather, like looking at wind speeds and totally not understanding the mechanics behind them. Someone sent me a link to a conspiracy channel, and she was trying to look at the buoy data, and she started this huge thing. She has almost 50,000 subs, 50,000 people that follow her. And she's trying to say that because the buoy data, the wind data on the buoy data wasn't the hurricane 185 miles per hour, that it's a big conspiracy. And none of these buoys are showing that. That is not how it works. You have to understand how the hurricanes are measured and the mechanics of it before you can even stand on a platform and say, this is what's going on, like you're some meteorologist and you don't even understand how the data is collected in the beginning. Like, we have the extremes on both sides, people, and it's just, be careful with what information you take in, because it's infuriating to me that kind of the misinformation, people now not understanding the wind speeds, snowballed into this giant conspiracy online about whether this hurricane happened. It is like the movie Idiocracy in its finest. Guard yourself from both sides, please. That's my speech.
Okay. Is that all you want? You didn't want to say hi to anybody in the chat, or we don't have any shout outs? Or
yeah, well, we got Thor and Matt are modding right now. How are you guys? I didn't take notes, Jake. It's just, you know what it is? It's like, we live streamed pretty solid for 3 days, and
time for a break.
Yeah, it's time for a break, because what a thankless job that is.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Mari. Again, we appreciate everything you do. So I don't know why you say thankless, because I know our subscribers love you out there. They love your work. They love your editing. They love your reporting. So you are definitely appreciated in this community, and as well for me. Again, you guys are just the best as far as the support you give, and how there's a lot of followers in here that's been following this channel for quite a while. I know Thor and Matthew, and I've seen Sully's girl in here for a while now. Tammy is a name I've been recognizing in chats. Brandon, hello, good to see you tonight. Doug Ellens, just a lot of names that I've noticed that have been following this channel for quite some time. And to me, that's more successful when you see old friends from months ago still, when you look at that chat every once in a while and you're still seeing people in there, the mods that we picked in the original, in the beginning and stuff like that. So again, we appreciate your work. We also appreciate Mari, what she does for us. And again, thankless, absolutely not. We love your work, and it's greatly appreciated. I know that you couldn't find a better channel yesterday to get the coverage on the hurricane like we did it the last 2 days. Also, well, never mind. That's not important. All right, guys, listen, we're going to cut it short now. Appreciate everybody tuning in for a update. Show is supposed to be scheduled for 9 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow night. So we'll probably jump in. It'll probably be time to start maybe streaming again because we need to kind of keep our eyes on the situation with South Carolina and what kind of impact it's going to have further up the coast. So the storm is not over by any means, but hopefully it does continue to weaken as it looks like it's doing now. It's going to do it for us tonight, guys. Thank you for tuning in, and we will talk soon.